The video footage is almost too sickening to watch.Yet. Watch we must.The latest suspected chemical weapons outrage in Douma, Syria left dozens killed, including many young children. They were seen in medical units, desperately gasping for air, foaming at the mouth, begging for help, or simply dead. In total, more than 500 people, mostly women and children, were treated.It was a despicable, deliberate attack on some of the most vulnerable people in the world, and you don't need to be Einstein to work out who did it. Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad's government forces, supported by Russia and Iran, have been bombarding that besieged enclave near Damascus to try to recapture the last remaining rebel strongholds near the capital. Why, the skeptics cry, would Assad use chemical weapons when victory in this seemingly endless civil war appears to be finally within his grasp? He's done it before and got away with it. What better way to finish off the enemy's resolve than to gas 500 of their innocent loved ones? Of course, Syria promptly denied all knowledge of any chemical weapons attack. It always does, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons said about destroying that stockpile, but it was feared Assad hid some of it. In 2015, the OPCW formed an investigative panel with the UN that has since probed more than 70 cases of alleged toxic gas attacks in Syria. It concluded that Assad's forces had dropped sarin on the rebel-held village of Khan Sheikhoun in April 2017, killing scores of people, an abomination that prompted the US to launch several dozen Tomahawk missiles at a Syrian airbase. It also concluded that Assad's forces had used sarin on the village of Vladimir and chlorine gas on 3 other villages. Russia, like the Syrian government, has also denied all knowledge of this latest attack. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov insisted Russia's own experts had visited the site in Douma and found no trace of chemical weapons. Russia gave a similar reaction to the recent nerve agent attack on spy trader Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia on UK soil. Vladimir Putin had previously boasted such traitors would be killed, and experts believe that Novichok, the nerve agent used, can only have come from Russia. Yet once more came the white-eyed angry and hurt prostrations of innocents. US President Trump is having none of it. He tweeted yesterday, "Many dead, including women and children, in mindless chemical attack in Syria." Area of atrocity is in lockdown and encircled by Syrian Army, making it completely inaccessible to outside world. President Putin, Russia and Iran are responsible for backing Animal Assad.Big price to pay. Another humanitarian disaster for no reason whatsoever.SICK. Trump has been strangely, some might say suspiciously, given the ongoing Mueller investigation into alleged collusion, taciturn when it's come to Russia and its president. In fact, this was his first tweet in which he has personally criticized Putin, and came 1 year and 77 days after he won the White House. Better late than never. Thankfully, it seems Trump's finally woken up to the reality of the red threat lurking in Moscow. Last Friday, he imposed draconian new sanctions against 7 of Russia's richest men and 17 top government officials. This action, described as muscular, will hurt Putin where he least likes to be hit, in his wallet and in his family. He may be one of the world's richest men, but he relies on other seriously wealthy cronies to help prop up his regime, which is heavy on military power, but very light on economic strength. A few days earlier, Trump expelled 60 Russian diplomats from the US as part of a concerted international response to the Skripal attack that made it clear nobody was buying Putin's not guilty plea. Now, Trump is threatening a big price to pay, which most take to mean military action in Syria against Assad's forces, and by association, Putin's. The president is right to take this crisis very seriously. Vladimir Putin is now the world's most dangerous man. I don't say this lightly given the sizable number of despicable human beings currently vying for that title, from ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi to North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. But Putin's menacing, nefarious tentacles of power have begun to stretch across the world in an unprecedented manner. The former KGB officer's charge sheet as president already includes seizing Crimea, attacking Georgia, invading eastern Ukraine, shooting down a passenger plane, and meddling with the 2016 US election. Now we have the Skripal and Douma chemical weapons attacks, in which he stands accused of aiding and abetting incredibly serious crimes. Putin's been acting with the impunity of a man who thinks nobody is brave enough to rein him in. Much of the blame for this self-confidence can and should be leveled at the door of Barack Obama, who infamously set an American chemical weapons red line, but then refused to act on it when Assad went ahead and used them. Trump was heavily critical yesterday of his predecessor. If President Obama had crossed his stated red line in the sand, he tweeted, the Syrian disaster would have ended long ago. Animal Assad would be history. It's perfectly true, as his critics have pointed out, that Trump himself made a series of hypocritical comments about Syria before becoming president, as indeed he did about a whole manner of issues. But frankly, I don't care what Trump, the business tycoon or TV star, said previously about world affairs. I only care what he's said and done since he became president himself, because only then has he had access to all the top-secret intelligence that should properly inform a presidential opinion. Obama had all that intelligence, knew that Assad had used chemical weapons, and did nothing. His woeful inaction didn't just embolden Assad, it emboldened Putin.The Russian leader rushed to fill the vacuum of leadership in the Syrian conflict, siding strongly with the Assad regime, and the rest is now hideously unfurling history. I was very disappointed to see Senator John McCain suggest this latest attack in Douma only happened because Trump said a few days ago that he wanted to pull US forces out of Syria. That seemed like just the kind of cheap political point-scoring jibe designed to distract blame from the real villains. If Senator McCain wants a US president to blame, then he should look no further than Obama, whose inexcusable cowardice has repeatedly come back to haunt him. Ultimately though, responsibility for this atrocity lies squarely with Assad, a murderous monster intent on bombing and gassing his own people into submission. And with his partner in crime, Vladimir Putin. The latter's never been more powerful. Recently re-elected for a fourth term, this summer he will host the Football World Cup, sport's biggest global event. Putin will wallow in the planet's attention on him and his country and preen in front of massive TV audiences. It will be the ultimate validation for a man who craves respect, both from his fellow Russians and the international community. Meanwhile, he will continue to aggressively support the people of Syria being killed in massive numbers, often in the most depraved and illegal manner possible. That's their right in a democracy. But this is the moment when they need to put aside their own sentiment about him. Trump may now be the only person who can put Putin back in his box. I applaud the president's impressively strong actions against him in the past fortnight, and I urge him to go harder.